Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I am going to be talking about Garibay BLaw Triple. All right, so that is Garibay Blockbuster Law Triple. Okay, and this is about specifically blockbuster movies. Here is the law. Okay, the blockbuster law. Go with blessings, all who have made a movie that has tripled its budget. Go with blessing all who have made a movie that has tripled its budget. All right, so let's talk about this. All right, so Garibay BLaw Triple specifically deals with answering the question, what is a successful movie? Okay, there is a difference between a good movie, and there's a difference between a good movie and a successful movie. Okay, the absolute perfect pinnacle example of this is Mad Max Fury Road. You will be hard pressed to find any film critic that will say that Mad Max Fury Road is not a good movie. It was almost universally proclaimed by critics. It got great reviews from critics. Okay, and even most fans will admit this is a good movie. However, if you understand, if you agree with Garibay BLaw Triple, you understand that unquestionably Mad Max Fury Road was not a successful movie. All right, so let's look at the numbers. Okay, the budget for Mad Max Fury Road was $150 million. That does not include advertising. Film budgets always never include advertising, and the reason why is those numbers are almost never actually proclaimed, right? And they're never made public, right? And that's okay, because film budgets are often proclaimed, or they're actually very public. And Mad Max Fury Road cost $150 million. It made $380 million. It is really looking right now like Mad Max Fury Road will never get a sequel. And the reason why is it was not really commercially successful. So let's talk about the terms a successful movie. The reason why I say a successful movie makes triple its budget is because at its core, movie making is a commercial venture, okay? Now, I am specifically talking about movies with a theatrical release. There are some artsy people, there are some indie people who say that's not the point of making movies. If you want to make a movie and show it in your living room to 4 friends, and then you want to go to a few, like a VFW, and show it to maybe a group of 100 people, that's fine. That's a hobby, okay? But movie making with a theatrical release is not done for art's sake. It's a commercial venture. It's done to make money, right? So, and one of the reasons why I'm talking about this today is there's huge debate on whether, the blockbuster discussion comes into specifically the movie discussion, right? The box office frequently comes into discussions of movies, right? So the reality is, I think Mad Max Fury Road is a perfect example of a good movie that is not a successful movie by the numbers. Now, also, the reason why I'm talking about this today is back in the old days, in the 80s and the 90s, it was very easy to tell a successful movie. There was a law back then. I didn't make this one, but it was widely regarded within the industry. If you make $100 million, you get a sequel. Done. You're successful. That's a successful movie. Logically, we will give you a sequel. Okay. That's the same reason why we're talking about Garibay BLaw Triple today. If you triple your budget, you should get a sequel. That's a logical extension. It makes commercial, logical business sense to make a sequel to a movie that has tripled its budget. It does not make commercial sense to make a sequel for a movie that has not tripled its budget. Okay. Then also, this law is useful because it actually gives us an understanding to discuss entire brackets of films. Good example here are the DC movies. I do not like the DC movies. I did enjoy Wonder Woman, but at this point, if it were up to me, I would scrap every single DC film, start at scratch. I'd use the New 52 and just wipe the board clean and not use any of the actors, any of the stories, any of the directors, any of the writers. I would wipe the slate, right, and start fresh with the DC movies, right? They're definitely not going to go down that road. Now, the reason why I say that is all of the DC movies, right, are, with the exception of Wonder Woman, are not good movies, but they are successful movies. By and large, every single DC movie has tripled its budget. That is a successful movie. So while I can contest that DC is not making good movies, I really can't contest that they're making successful movies. They are making successful movies. And when I say, oh, you shouldn't have made a sequel, I'm wrong. They should have made a sequel because the movies they're making are finding an audience and they are tripling their budget, okay? And so I think that's really important to understand. It also brings out, it also just want to talk about, it talks to a major theme in films today, and that is the importance of horror movies. Horror movies are becoming more and more important every single day. And the reason why is horror movies are the one genre of film where cheap looks right, okay? So you can make a horror movie very, very cheaply, and it looks right. It looks exactly the way it should. A good horror movie, if it's cheap and it's well written and it's well made, that is a good, that could be an excellent movie. Another thing is bad movies, bad horror movies, frequently are successful because they're cheap and it is easy to triple that budget, right? And so that's really important. Also, just to be clear, Netflix is making 80 movies in 2018. This is one of the biggest, most important numbers in movies today. I am going crazy I'm just so happy, over the moon happy about Netflix just making all these wonderful new movies that I get to watch, right? Well, a lot of them are horror, and the reason why is you could take a good director, a good writer, good actors, put them into this movie for cheap and come out with a good movie. Almost no other genre allows this. Anything with CGI, forget it. It's going to be very, very hard to do what you do in a horror movie. Also, just to be clear, with rom-coms have this a little bit, but it's just the people who go to see rom-coms don't go to see movies at the same pace or with the same vigor or bring as many people or they're just, the rom-com genre is not as robust as horror. It's just not, right? And so, and I just want to end this section on horror movies by talking about Get Out. Get Out cost $5 million, right? It made like $300 million. It's hard to even, I think it's times 60 the amount of, it didn't triple its budget, it did a factor of 60 of its budget. That's incredible, right? That is absolutely incredible. So not only was Get Out one of the most successful movies of 2017, it's also one of the most critically acclaimed movies of 2017, which means that Jordan Peele is an absolute genius, and everybody's waiting with bated breath to see his next project. Okay, because everybody in Hollywood wants what Jordan Peele has accomplished, to be critically acclaimed and to be massively commercially successful. That is amazing. Get Out is a really, really special movie. So Garibay BLaw triple is really important. I also want to say here, I want to give credit where credit is due. One of the reasons why I've arrived at Garibay BLaw is the podcast Movie Sandbox. There's a couple of gentlemen who do that podcast. They've been doing it for years. It's an hour long. It comes out every single week. It is fantastic. One of the podcasters on there covers books, and he covers theater in depth. Actually writes on them, podcasts on them. The other podcaster on there covers movies from the perspective of the technical aspects, screen ratios and like the rate at which a film shows different the the number of actual pictures in a frame, like really highly technical stuff, right? And both of them do good reviews, talk about the movie industry in depth, and talk about the box office every week. They also talk very realistically and very maturely about global box office. Movie Sandbox is a fantastic podcast, and I heard them say, oh, well, you know what you want to do if you're a movie? You want to triple your budget. I thought about this for a long time, and I realized that I could not replace that old 80s, 90s adage of if you get $100 million in your movie, everybody's happy, you get a sequel. Now you need to triple your budget. $100 million doesn't mean anything nowadays. $100 million does not make you a successful movie today. We needed a new way of counting this, and that is Garibay BLaw triple. Take care.